Among today's top stories, U.S. and China trade negotiators are talking by phone. As I said earlier, Eunice, at the open, hopefully with translators, interpreters. Otherwise, I don't think we get anywhere, most likely. Anyway, Eunice Yoon joins us live from Beijing with the headlines. Good morning, Eunice. Good afternoon for you, I guess.
Good morning, Joe. I think that people are just happy that the lines of communication are still open and that there are people within both administrations who are trying to keep the wheels on for the trade deal. So as you're talking about the trade negotiators, so this is Lighthizer, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, as well as China's Vice Premier Liu He, spoke over the phone, and they agreed that the U.S. and China were going to continue to work together to try to improve the atmosphere so that the trade deal that was reached in January would be implemented. They also said that both countries fully expect to meet their obligations in a timely manner. So perhaps as a way to improve the atmosphere, China also announced that it's going to scrap some quotas and investment quotas for foreign investors. So these are limits for two investment schemes that foreign institutions have been using. It also is going to simplify procedures for remittances and repatriation of funds. And those new regulations go into effect on June 6th and effectively make it much easier for institutions like Goldman Sachs or BNP Paribas to invest in Chinese stocks and bonds. Also, the state papers today have been arguing that the trade deal is progressing. They point out that China has been buying U.S. soybeans as well as meat, despite the epidemic, and has removed restrictions on some U.S. farm goods. And then finally, what I thought was interesting is this whole week we've been having a lot of reminders of the importance of the Chinese consumer to American companies. And we had another reminder today because for Disney, the Shanghai park was sold its tickets today, and they sold out for the first day in 3 minutes, and for the whole week in 1 hour. And this Shanghai Disney was being discussed a lot online today, and most people said that they wanted to get tickets because they didn't want to have to wait for a long time in the lines. So people are excited to be able to go to the park on Monday.
Makes you wonder.
Eunice, that is not what I would have expected.
Right. It was, what does that remind me? Oh, it reminds me of the NFL draft. It's like, I would never watch that. Yeah. I would never watch that. And I was like, the day that it was happening, I'm like, when's it? It's 3 hours to the NFL draft. I can't. So we are ready for something to do.
We all need to be entertained
when we get out.
Yeah. The background is that a lot Chinese people have been cooped up for a long time, so for months now. And so there's a lot of excitement to try to get out. Also online, there are a lot of parents who have kids at home who have been cooped up and not a whole lot to do. So Disney is limiting the capacity, but even with those limitations, there are definitely a lot of people who are interested. Of course, they're going to have to go through temperature checks. There's going to be social distancing at the park. Everyone knows this going in because it's something that people in China have been living with for quite some time, and there's still a lot of excitement about going on the rides and doing something different.
And I just wonder...
You know what the excitement about is social distancing, too. The social distancing is a benefit. Can you imagine getting on those rides and not having to wait in line for a long time for some of these things? Like, having limitations, I think, would add to the excitement on that.
Exactly.
The only time in your life you're not going to have to wait in a super long line to get on the rides.
I think the hard part is for people who might want to travel, if you have to get on a plane or if you have to get on a train, that might make you think a little bit as to whether or not you want to go this time around. But there's still plenty of people around Shanghai who would definitely want to get into that park.
It's just when does boredom and trying to deal with boredom, when does that become strong enough to risking it? I don't know whether you have to feel better about the overall environment not being as dangerous as it was at the peak of obviously of the pandemic. But you still, and I felt it a few times. It's like, you risk it, but you're not really risking it because you think it's less, but it's still in the back of your mind. And it's worthwhile going to Disney and social distance and wear a mask and do everything you have to do, but you still know that it's riskier than it was last time you went, and you're willing to do it because the boredom, it suddenly has become something that's, it's not equal to the fear that you have. But I wonder if that's happening over here. at some point, where people
I don't think it's only the boredom. It's also that there's a desire to get back to some sort of normalcy. So people want to get back,
to
out, to the office or to go play. People want that.